let's preview a little bit of Week 8 here with some studs and duds. Obviously, we know the drill. You know the drill. Studs, people that are going to exceed expectations, and duds, people that are going to let you down. And I gotta clear my throat here before I jump into this one because I'm excited, dude.
You choked up, a little nervous because you're gonna drop some incredible knowledge on us. I'm ready.
I'm ready for my stud for Week 8. Get ready, because I bent the rules a little bit. I cheated a little bit because instead of just a stud, I've got a stud stack, baby. That's right. My stud stack for Week 8 is Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. Listen up here. We're coming off a poor game for both of these guys. Less than 21 points combined for the stack. That's not what you signed up for in fantasy football this year with the Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen stack. Well, listen up here. Chicago Bears defense has been disappointing to say the least against the pass. They are allowing the 4th most passing yards and 2nd most passing touchdowns this year. And before last week, when they faced the elite duo of Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell, the Bears were allowing over 20 points per game to the quarterback position this season. Justin Herbert is the quarterback 5 on a points per game basis so far this year. And Keenan Allen is averaging nearly 11 targets per game. And the icing on the cake with this one is with Josh Palmer's health being a little bit uncertain. We don't really know what's going to happen here with this injury for Josh Palmer that's limiting him in practice. Oh, baby, I know that Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen are ready to bounce back after a poor week against Kansas City. And this disconnection they have even goes back to the Dallas Cowboys game. It's felt like there's been a couple missed touchdowns between this duo over the last 2 weeks. Just a couple passes that Justin Herbert has put a little bit too much on, and Keenan hasn't been able to haul it in. It's just a little bit overthrown. They're going to get it in check this week against Chicago. The stud stack this week for Week 8, Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. Book it. I'm calling 25-plus point games for both of these guys. Mark my words.
Dude, I was thinking about it like all week, and I was like, man, we just can't seem to mark our words. Like, there's nothing that we just feel that way about, and that's
Mark
I mean,
baby.
I don't know how to. There's no reason to argue against this kind of potential between Herbert and Keenan Allen. The only thing I will comment on is if it doesn't happen, we got a lot of problems. We got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And it may have to be a scenario where Brandon Staley gets the axe and you slot over Kellen Moore as the interim HC and see what happens there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd call plays still, but like it just if something doesn't happen, and if Eckler, I'll throw in Eckler too. If Eckler also has a down game against who? The Bears?
The Bears.
They're not like I think DJ Moore is going to have a great game. He's not my stud because people are going to start him. But like I think the Bears are going to define an offense, and so will the Chargers. So if the Chargers are stumped by the Bears defense, we got a red flag on our hands, and we're going to break it down in our next episode. So hopefully we don't have to because we are big fans of what this Chargers offense should be. But yeah, makes for a good stack. I actually know someone that has this stack, and I am glad I'm not playing them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh boy.
Last week
Stud
would have been
stack
great.
Week 8. That would have been fantastic. Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Wes, hit me with a stack, or sorry, not a stack, a stud. Hit me with a stud for Week 8 in your eyes.
My stud is going to be a bit of a conversation between the two of us because I really wanted to work to try to find someone that people would have questions about. Someone that is likely on people's benches, someone that you don't know if you should start. Again, no bye weeks this week, so we're not trying to fill in anything there, but maybe there is a disappointing player on your team for a flex option. Maybe you do have an injured wide receiver. And I'm going to advocate that I think you can start Tyler Boyd. the Bengals wide receiver, who has been kind of playing a little better than everyone realizes. Now, a couple of information here. Not off to a hot start along with the rest of the Cincinnati Bengals, but he has been on the field far more than T. Higgins. And everyone's got their eyes set on T. Higgins. They're like, well, this is a bounce-back game, fresh off a bye week. I mean, T. Higgins had a 54% snap count in week 6 before their bye week.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt, and it was a 51% snap count. But he had a 95% snap count, and then since then, it's been no more than 88%, whereas Tyler Boyd, 89% last week, 73% the week before, 91% there. So snap counts, that may not be important to you, but I will say that Tyler Boyd has seen 7 targets at least since week 2. 7 in week 6, 7 in week 5, 7 in week 4, 9 in week 3, and 8 in week 2. The yards aren't all that hot, okay? He's had the most 52 yards, and he's only had 1 touchdown, which was in week 6 for their bye. But look, if you are in a desperate play, Tyler Boyd's not even that owned in a lot of leagues, let alone started. So you got an option right there. You're in a desperate play. You went up against Chris Godwin and Josh Allen last night. I need to do something here. Tyler Boyd is an option. I'm going to throw him out as my stud for the week. Oh, and last thing. San Francisco 49ers are actually 11th in most wide receiver points allowed on the season. And the last 2 weeks, it's been 7th. 7th most points allowed to wide receivers, thanks to Jordan Addison's dominant night on Monday Night Football. So, my pitch, Tyler Boyd, stud, week 8.
Yeah, I love it. And this is a guy that I've been excited about, a guy I have rostered in our Trollers League, and a guy that I've held on to, even though it's been like, I've done a lot of waiver pickups, I've done a lot of stuff, and he's been a guy that I have not been able to let go of, simply because, like you've said, the amount that he is on the field and the volume that he is on the field for. We see it clear as day. He is a guy that Joe Burrow looks at. He has 7+ targets every week since week 2. He's past his bye week. He's a guy that you could slot in these bye week fill-ins if you need, and especially this week against the San Francisco 49ers. He's somebody that I think is a sneaky play. I'm excited about Tyler Boyd and the possibility of him. I will say I've held on to him, and I'll advocate right here for beyond just like a stud play right now. He's a guy that if he's on your waiver wire, you need to go get him. Like, you don't need to be rostering Elijah Mitchell, in my opinion. Like, you could go get Tyler Boyd instead, because here's the thing with Tyler Boyd. In addition to being a fantastic option, a fantastic stud candidate for week 8, 7 targets or more since week 2 as the wide receiver 3 on this team. And when T. Higgins has been missing, when Jamar Chase hasn't been going as high as we want him to go, Tyler Boyd gets the work, and Tyler Boyd gets the looks, and Tyler Boyd gets the targets. We never advocate for an injury in fantasy football, but it is clear as day that if one of the top 2 receivers in Cincinnati were to get hurt, Tyler Boyd would immediately step in as a very high-end flex play on a very, very weekly basis. Past the bye week, if one of those 2 guys were to get hurt, it's very clear that he would be a guy that you can get. Do you hear that right now? Dude,
I do.
Freaking,
well, are you?
If
Is
that's
the
a
SWAT
Tyler
team
Boyd
outside?
Going, yeah, they're so hyped up. They're just cheering me on right now, dude. What's going on here?
First the
I don't know what's
concert, and
happening.
now the FBI. Help!
Yeah, Jordan Davis came back in his helicopter, apparently, with what's going on. Listen, Tyler Boyd, fantastic stud candidate for week 8. I'm a big fan of Tyler Boyd. And if he's on the waiver wire, you should go grab him. I'm all in with you, Wes. I'm excited about Tyler Boyd.
That's the last thing I was going to mention, too, was like, hey, and look, if you need to pick somebody out, Tyler Boyd will be good, because if he has a studly week like I suspect he could, you want to already have him and then use your waiver wire for someone else, which will be great.
Correct.
So those are our
100%.
studs for week 8. Let's jump into our Dudley duds for week 8. Kick us off, Noah.
Yeah, this is a guy that I'm disappointed to talk about right now. And it's a bummer. Because it's Tyler Lockett, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh.
After week 1, we were like, listen, hold strong. Tyler Lockett, he is going to be fine. Don't panic. And then week 2, he came out, and he had like 6 catches for 59 yards and 2 touchdowns. And we were like, let's go. He's back, baby. And then since then, he's been like really mediocre, and he's only had like 2 weeks of double-digit fantasy points. And it's like one of those things where we wrote out and we were like, this is Tyler Lockett. This is the situation. He's boom or bust. You got to roll with him because the highs are so high, but the lows happen. There's just been a lot more lows than highs this season. Last week in the game against Arizona, which should have been huge, Tyler Lockett hates the Arizona Cardinals. Hates the Arizona Cardinals. He's averaged over 20 fantasy points against them each time he plays them over the last 3 years. He hates them. He saw 5 targets, 4 catches for 38 yards against the Arizona Cardinals last week. He should have had, in a game without DK Metcalf, against the Cardinals, this should have been a massive game for Tyler Lockett. As a Tyler Lockett owner, when I saw DK Metcalf at the game time decision get ruled out, I was like, oh man, I'm about to have 40 points in my lineup. Like, this dude is about to go off. 4 for 38 on 5 targets is so disappointing. He's had only 1 game this season with over 60 receiving yards. It's been a really, really bleak outlook for Tyler Lockett this season, which is just so disappointing. Add on to that, that Jackson Smith-Njigba is emerging more in this offense, and DK Metcalf will be back healthy versus the Cleveland Browns this week. On top of all of it, the Cleveland Browns allow the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers this season. It's disappointing, and it's the first week this year where I've on my team where I have Tyler Lockett, where I have had to pull him from the starting lineup and put in one of my depth receivers. It's disappointing to see Tyler Lockett not kind of be the guy we have come to know him as. And so he is my dud for week 8 because of all of this. And I am sad. I am very sad.
That is pretty sad. That is a way to bring everyone down. And we were having fun, yucking it up, talking about helicopters and stuff. And then you're like, hey, were you having a good night? Let me go ahead and put a wet towel on your bed. Here's what you could have started with. You could have just led with they're playing the Browns, because this Browns defense is a wee bit historic. Myles Garrett is unbelievable. So just that alone was enough for me to consider. Honestly, the Browns defense are at a point now where they are matchup circumstantial for me by almost any player in the NFL. As you were talking, I was remembering just how many years Tyler Lockett has been in the NFL. And I'm not saying that he's slowing down or that this just, he's missing a step, is getting a little long in the tooth, as some say. But it does kind of start, the gears start turning a little bit that, they did draft Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is to replace either Lockett or DK. And DK's been in the league 5 years, I think, 6 years. So you can fact check me on that if you want. But Tyler Lockett's he's pushing 10 years in the NFL. I mean, it was him and Russell Wilson for the longest time. So Jackson Smith-Njigba might start seeing
Doug Baldwin played together just to age him even more. Him and Doug Baldwin, and I don't even remember Chris Matthews. You remember him? He had like 4 games for Seattle. He's like that 6'5" wide receiver. He was insane.
Chris Matthews.
Comment below if you remember Chris Matthews, guys.
I remember Ryan Matthews, the Chargers running back. He was pretty decent. That's the only Matthews.
That's even more. That's a bigger age. Yeah, there you go.
Point being,
5 years.
Metcalf 5 years.
For DK.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is what we're going to begin to see. Obviously, there's been a big contract extension for Geno Smith, and having his incredible comeback player of the year performance last year. It's going to be under center for the foreseeable future, and the foreseeable future definitely includes JSN. And you make a great point, because he has always been dominant against the Cardinals. And DK, historically, has been pretty bad against the Cardinals. So this was just a match made in heaven, and turned out being a little bit of hell. So, all right, good point. Don't like it, but it's the truth. Tyler Lockett's
Yeah.
a dud.
Your turn. Try not to make us as sad as I just did.
I won't. It'll be pretty brief because you had a stack for your studs. I've got a whole position for a certain team that is
great.
a dud. I think every single Rams running back is a dud this week. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not try to get cute and think maybe Darrell Henderson with his 18 carries is going to be the way to go. First of all, he was just demoted back to the practice squad, so take what you will of that. What do we know about Royce?
I think that was managerial, or I don't even know if that's the right word there. I think
Right.
I read something that was like with processes for bringing up practice squad players before they have to be on something weird like that.
I don't know, ask
But
Malik Cunningham
yes.
what the practice squad means because
please do.
whatever. But
He's
either way,
familiar.
18 carries. Okay, what he got like 13 points. Are you going to start someone from that? Maybe, maybe not. But we know Sean McVay explicitly stated that they're going to try to get Royce Freeman and Zach Evans more involved. Royce Freeman, speaking of long in the tooth, gosh, I think he used to babysit Doug Baldwin. And Zach Evans, they drafted late in this draft, but like he had nothing. He had 0 snap count. So who are you going to start against the Cowboys? Against Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys defense, fresh off of a bye week, are you really going to roll out a Rams running back that you're not even sure is going to get more than 70% of the snap count at the very best? Do not start a single Rams running back. If they're going to try to win, it's going to be through Puka and Koopa. All right? That's the way it goes. All Rams running backs are duds for week 8.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so I pulled up my team here because I have a league where my running back situation is not great. My running backs from week 2 on were James Conner and Kyron Williams. So clearly, I'm in a great spot right now at running back. So my RB1 this week is Gus Edwards against Arizona, which should actually be a decent matchup. He does seem to be the guy until the Ravens trade for Derrick Henry. So my RB2 right now is Darrell Henderson, Wes, so I need your help.
Okay.
Because I'm limited on fill-ins right now. Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Anonymous.
Jaleel McLaughlin, Jeff Wilson Jr., or Tajay Spears? Do I swap in for the lovely Darrell Henderson?
So, Jaleel McLaughlin was my risky start 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs because the Chiefs' rush defense is solid. We both talked about it in the last episode. Jaleel McLaughlin, here he is. Shout out to Jaleel McLaughlin. He is phenomenal.
Right
He's
there,
really great, but
he's really good at football.
and really small. I have no concerns about him, but I'm not going to throw him into a lineup because the Chiefs' defense is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the second person you said?
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Jeff Wilson Jr. The Dolphins are just that team where if you throw anyone with aqua and orange on their jersey into your lineup, you're probably going to get a touchdown. So I don't hate that idea, but I do want to, again, advocate for my waiver wire out of the week, Tajay Spears, who, with Will Levis under center for a lot of it, and I imagine Derrick Henry is going to be involved in some way, but I don't think it's a bad option to consider Tajay Spears, who is also good for PPR. Now, the only difference is that the Falcons' rush defense is really solid. So you consider that, but I would go with either Jeff Wilson or Tajay Spears. Pray for the Jeff Wilson touchdown, maybe a nice catch and run, and see what happens from there. Maybe some goal line work. Or you get Tajay Spears in your lineup and see if maybe he could go one of two ways. And then we'll wrap up the show.
If he gets 12 targets from these rookie quarterbacks.
It could be a total audition for the Titans to say, here's Derrick Henry. Give us your best offer. Please give us as many first rounds as possible.
Right.
Or they preserve Derrick Henry to ensure there's no injury risk, and they roll out
Right.
Tajay Spears and be like, well, we got to see what we got in the future. I like the rookie connection. I'm going to final say Tajay Spears over Daryl
Okay,
Henderson.
I've got him in there. I was just looking at it, and for an RB2 in this league, it's a half PPR. I'm okay with this. I just realized that it's obviously it's not great for me. I have Kyron Williams and James Conner on IR, so
Yeah.
it's not a great scenario for
rough.
me. But Tajay Spears, I mean, and you was your waiver wire out of the week. Tajay Spears has 7 or more fantasy points in 4 of 6 weeks this season. I'll take 7.
Yeah.
With what I've got going on here, I'll take 7 because I'm okay with 7 out of this guy. I guess if that's what I get, I get that. That my worry does become: is this going to be just Derrick Henry's? Hey, he's still fantastic. Look at him. But like you said, the Falcons' run defense is really good. So they could try and roll him out there and give him 30 carries, and then he gets 40 yards, and it's like, well, never mind. No one's going to trade for him. So I like it, Wes. Tajay Spears, I'm going to roll with it, see what happens.
Yeah. Either way,
knows?
all of those running backs will get more points than James Cook. That's what I learned from this episode.
Right, yeah, yeah. All those guys will get more points than James Cook and the entire Rams running back room combined. That's where we're landing with that. There you go. Hey, that is going to do it for this episode. Drop a comment below. Let us know if you're going to start any of these studs and duds. If you're going to start the stud stack. If you're going to go ahead and take our advice. And let's sit back here on Darrell Henderson. We don't really want to do anything here against this Dallas defense. Let us know in the comments while you're down there. Always like. If you're not subscribe, ring the bell. Want to be on top of the content as we drop it. And make sure you're following us on all our social media below. We're always putting stuff out for you. Exciting things always.